Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us for Morning Plus, our Wednesday morning edition. I have our beautiful Mets with us this morning. We got double duo team coverage for the things that's going on. Chief Meteorologist Sam Jacks, Meteorologist Amber Twardy. All right, ladies, you're breaking down all the things this morning.
Yeah, you know, we're both standing here giving you weather updates. That means we got a little extra something on deck. Now, of course, this is going to be widespread system snow. We've been talking about it for a couple of days now, and it's finally headed towards West Michigan.
Yeah, that's something that's really going to be picking up into this afternoon, continuing into this evening, and tomorrow morning as well. Looks like the evening commute today, though, is going to be where we see the greatest impacts.
Let's go talk about it. We're going to head over to the BAM here. We've got so many alerts scattered across the region right now. These alerts extend all the way from Denver, Colorado, through Boston, Massachusetts, even up into Maine. We're seeing some alerts today, and here in West Michigan included, but we have winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, ice storm warnings. Lots jam-packed within this forecast. Here in West Michigan, it's a little simpler.
Yeah, we just have this purple that's across the entirety of at least West Michigan, a little bit of pink further off to our east, but at least here in West Michigan, seeing a winter weather advisory that goes into effect this afternoon, 1 p.m., extending into tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. is when that will be expiring. Now, as that's going into effect, that's when a lot of that snow starts to move in, system snow on the way, but then into tomorrow morning, it's also followed by a little bit of lake effect too, so a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, the good news is that our alert mainly surrounds that system snow that's moving through, and then the lake effect is just a little extra sugar on top of all the snowfall that we're going to see throughout the day today. So this is our current satellite and radar. I was initially saying today, okay, noon to 1 p.m. Honestly, at the rate that this snow is moving and where it's currently sitting at, this leading edge here, I mean, there's a little bit of light snow ahead of it, but this is probably going to arrive closer to 11 o'clock to the lakeshore boundary and then continue to become widespread from there. But the heaviest of snow right now is still in Des Moines, Iowa, right? So we still have some time, even if that snow lightly arrives earlier, before we start to see the heaviest of snow make its way into West Michigan.
Yeah, all of the darker blues that will be on their way, those are largely going to be in place throughout this evening, especially the evening commute, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
bad timing.
Yeah, exactly. Now, just like you said, things are likely to come in a little bit earlier than what we're anticipating, even with this model here, where things still are continuing to move in right around and slightly after noon. No, I would say, yeah, before noon is probably when we're going to start seeing some more of that system snow on its way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it really starts to pick up in intensity, and this is when you have to really start to pay attention to where you're going to be, right? If your evening commute puts you out on the road between 3 p.m. tonight until 7 p.m., you're going to have a slow evening commute. There's going to be no way around it because this is not isolated. It is widespread, which means every expressway from 96 to US 131, northbound, southbound, 94 to US 10 is all going to have this widespread consistent snow coming down. That means there's no working around where you're going to head if you have to get home at that time. So maybe take a half day, maybe plan on working from home for the back half of your day, and you could avoid the brunt of this system. And the good news is that it wraps up by around midnight tonight, and then tomorrow road crews will be able to start to clean things up.
Yeah, with that lake effect too that we're expecting to see at least a little bit of still during the overnight hours, it's not nearly as significant anymore. It really starts to take a backseat just because of how much ice we're continuing to see on Lake Michigan and really the Great Lakes in general. Also water temperatures just being so much colder than what we were seeing for the first half of the season. Exactly. Satellite temperatures still showing a lot of those surface temperatures on the lake are in the 30s, the 40s. So with those colder temperatures, things are going to be wrapping up a little bit more so with the lake effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I will actually be really interested to see how tomorrow's lake effect plays out and how much the ice really plays a role, because our models are definitely pulling back on the lake effect, but we're under a good setup. I mean, it would be, you know, if this was early January, I'd be saying, oh no, we're going to get slammed with lake effect on the back end of this. But I think because of our ice coverage and our temperatures, that's changing some. So overall, let's encapsulate the whole system here. 1 p.m. this afternoon to midnight. Not that snow won't start earlier than that. It's just that's when it really starts to become widespread and pick up in intensity. This is plowable snow. This is low visibility. The good news is our winds. Amber, you want to talk a little bit about the wind today?
Yeah, not necessarily seeing incredibly big gusts or anything. Still underneath where we get the heaviest snowfall, reduced visibility will be a concern for those out on the road. But blowing snow, thankfully, is not necessarily a huge concern here. Exactly. That's some something that we've been seeing a lot of recently. And finally, with winds being a lot calmer with this system moving through, well, that's at least going to be giving us a little bit of good news on roads.
Absolutely. The extra travel time, though, that's going to be the big thing, right? You want to give yourself the extra time for the evening commute, potentially tomorrow morning's commute as well. We will be out on the roads tomorrow before most of you, so we're going to give you a good picture tomorrow morning starting at 4:30 in the morning. If you want to know what those road conditions are like, we'll be able to give you those answers before you walk out the door tomorrow morning as well. But I know that this, Deja, is not just here in West Michigan, that we've got this snowfall. This is expansive, and reporters, meteorologists, anchors, all contending with it across the U.S.
Everybody, hands down. Thanks for that breakdown, y'all. So yeah, like you said, everyone across the area, well, at least 1/3 of the country will be expecting this much anticipated snowfall. And our ABC's Rhiannon Alley has a report.
This morning, dangerous weather facing millions of Americans from coast to coast. In the east, back-to-back storms bringing a mix of snow, ice, and freezing rain. The governor of Virginia declaring a state of emergency. More than 800 crashes reported across the region as heavy snow made a mess of the roads. The nation's capital seeing snowfall rates of 1 inch an hour. Overnight, heavy snow already coming down in parts of New Jersey. The system stretching all the way to Houston, where powerful thunderstorms flooded roads. Crews from Iowa to New Hampshire are now clearing the streets as they brace for another storm, taking aim at the Northeast and Midwest today. On the West Coast, Southern California is bracing for the strongest storm in a year that could cause debris flows in areas ravaged by wildfires.
There's another storm on Thursday we're watching in Southern California that could bring those burn scars and all those people hit so hard by those fires recently, 5 to 10 inches in some of the foothills.
Residents in Los Angeles placing tarps on their roofs and stuffing sandbags in preparation. Officials urging the public to be on alert.
If an evacuation warning or order is issued for your location, you have to take that seriously because seconds mean the difference between life and death.
Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Yeah, so much happening in the world of weather right now, and that of course includes us here in West Michigan. The good news is that, we can handle today's storm. This is not stuff that's out of the norm for our area, but we haven't had a ton of winters like this recently. I mean, I think back to last February when we were tracking 70-degree temperatures and a tornado on the ground. That still makes me laugh thinking about that to this day. But today, this is a very average February snowstorm that's moving through. The timing of it is what makes it a little more complicated and what makes it a little bit more complex because it's coming right during the evening commute. At least its heaviest snowfall rates are. So we've got our satellite and radar here. You're noticing some of this start to fill in over the lakeshore, which means, yes, a slightly early arrival time, but it's all a part of a bigger system. So while it might even be arriving 1 to 2 hours earlier, I still don't expect the heaviest of snow until after 3 p.m. But look at how widespread it starts to become at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And then anytime, again, you see, Amber and I have been talking a lot about the shades of blue on these maps. When you start to see these medium to dark shades of blue, that's moderate to heavy snowfall coming down. And from 2 o'clock until, let's say, 7 p.m. tonight, we are consistently underneath that moderate to heavy snow. By 7 p.m., we start to get to the tail end of this system. We see the snowfall begin to break apart, becoming very scattered in nature. And then by 11 o'clock tonight, this is when we do start to see the system clearing the area. There's that little bit of lake enhancement behind it. I would say 1 to 2 inches is a safe gauge on how much lake effect we should expect on the tail end of this system. And then possibly even some cloud coverage breaking apart late day Thursday and into your Friday. Here's the system itself draped down to the south of us. We've got a collision of 2 air masses going on here, right? We've got the warm, moist air from the Gulf that's driving up. We've got the cold air already associated with snowfall with this low pressure system driving towards us. Anytime we get those two things colliding, we create pretty nasty systems, which is what's happening here. Snowfall totals, I know they're oh so important to you. So here's what we've got. 1 p.m. today, we already are seeing a trace to a ½ an inch on the ground, but this is the light stuff, right? By the time we go from 1 to 3 o'clock, 1 to 2 inches of snow, and then here's where our snowfall rates start to pick up. I would say a ½ inch per hour to 1 inch per hour snowfall rates is very, very likely from 3 o'clock until about 7 o'clock at night. So yes, you may be thinking to yourself, okay, this is fine. Like, we're good. We can drive in 2 to 3 inches of snow, but when it's actively coming down, you've already got 2 to 3 inches of snow on the ground. Visibility is starting to reduce, and you've got cars bumper to bumper on the expressway. It's going to get messy quickly. And that's why I say it's not really the totals with this system, it's the timing of it that's going to bring the impacts, as well as the scope, right? I mean, this is a really broad brushing system, bringing everybody a widespread 5 to 6 inches of snow. And so it's going to take longer for road crews and road commissions to clean things up, because it's not like, you know, when we have our lake effect snow and we get these mile by mile instances where they need to go clean it up. It's also a little bit of a wetter, denser snow than what we typically experience in comparison to lake effect. And that's also going to have a little bit of extra effort behind it in terms of being able to clean up that snowfall. Now, I do want to give you guys a bigger picture here, because this is not our last system of the week, right? We've got this big brushing system coming through, but then we head into Thursday, Friday, cleanup efforts underway. 11 p.m. Friday night, headed into your Saturday morning. Looks very similar, doesn't it? We're back underneath another round of moderate to heavy snowfall coming down. This will be, again, during the overnight hours Friday, potentially lingering all the way until Saturday night. This is likely going to bring another round of high snowfall totals. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we get even slightly higher snowfall totals. It's just we're a little too early to tell. But we will not be done. This is not the end of our winter weather this week. Again, we've been talking about it all week long, having these 2 rounds of snow in the forecast, and that is included with Saturday into your Sunday. All right, temperature-wise today, we haven't talked about that a ton. We will be in the mid-20s, so what's coming down is sticking to the ground, that's for certain. And then we have our winter weather advisory shadowing our map there behind it. That's, again, going into effect 1 p.m., continuing on until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. The rest of your 13 on your side, 7-day forecast. We've got our days highlighted in red. Those are always the ones that we say you got to pay attention to. Make sure that you're locked into the forecast. The rest of the days, yes, there are small chances of snowfall following these systems, but it's the actual systems themselves that get the weather impact alerts.
All right, a whole lot of information right there. I hope you folks was listening to it. Now let's start with the winter advisory. Okay, let's break that down. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, do you want to talk about the advisory?
Yeah, so we can talk a little bit more about what types of alerts we end up seeing with different types of wintry systems. Winter weather advisory is what we're going to end up seeing. Now, the exact definition of that varies based on where you are in the country. For us specifically, though, that would be more so moderate impacts to high impacts in some areas as well. This is what we would be anticipating when we're talking about a winter storm advisory that goes into place at 1 p.m., extending until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Now, and of course, coming from the south, I always have the weather questions, because what is all of this snow? What is all of this coldness? I am learning all the things. So I know you all have been have addressed this, and we've done stories about it. But give us the difference between lake effect snow and system snow.
Yeah, so Deja, the difference between the two in a lot of places in the country, you don't even have to be from Florida and Texas to not know the difference of that one, because it's kind of special to West Michigan. Lake effect snow is really fine, really powdery. We've had that a ton already this season. I think it's like we've seen of our 55 inches of snow, 33 inches or something like that have been lake effect, and the rest has been system. So it's very specific in terms of its texture and how easy it is to clean up. This is like you turn the windshield wipers on your car and it flies off. That's not this type of snow. Now, this is not the wettest snow that we've ever experienced. It's not going to be the kind of snow where you want to take tons and tons of breaks, but it is a little bit of heavier snow. It's the kind that's perfect to make a snowball or build a snowman, so you guys can all throw snowballs at Amber and I tomorrow when you're so sick of the snow, because this is the good kind to be able to make it. And lake effect snow, my laptop, y'all, is doing some crazy stuff. I do not know what's going on. It's really there's just like thousands of things popping up on the screen. I have no idea what's going on.
It's sick of it.
It's distracting me. We also have lake effect snow forms in bands typically, and so you see, like, you'll drive a mile and you're like, oh, it's fine. And then you get a mile and this is not fine.
Yeah.
System snow is widespread. It's a big blanket that's tossed over West Michigan. Everybody gets similar amounts. Everybody gets similar impacts.
Gotcha. And a follow-up question, clearly talking about snowfall totals, and I know a lot of folks in the area, they want to know about those totals. And of course, earlier this morning, start of our show, 4:30, 5 o'clock, you gave a few totals. Are we going to see any changes to those totals, you think?
You know, I feel comfortable in our
Yeah,
forecast
okay.
today. We have really good model consistency in this 5 to 6 inch range of snow. So I feel very comfortable that we'll fall within that window. I do think we'll get what we call, should I use the word, phronogenesis banding, which is like the fanciest word, to basically say sometimes in these systems we can get these very narrow bands that form, and that starts to produce some more intense snowfall. So you might start to get some pockets that are saying, oh, we saw 7, we saw 8 inches of snow, and that's where a little bit of that banding does occur. It's not necessarily lake effect snow band, it's a different type of band that forms. But yeah, I feel pretty confident. How do you feel, Amber?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about the totals that we've been looking at for the past couple of days too. Now, talking more so about even the lake effect behind it, not going to be anticipating a ton just because the lake's a little bit too cold at this point. We're not really seeing all that much ice coverage. So not expecting a ton of accumulation to be on top of that from lake effect specifically, but I feel pretty comfortable about where we're at with this system snow, especially because it moves in at a certain time, it moves out at a certain time. We've got those times nailed down at this point. It's just going to be snowing and then it isn't, essentially.
I always say that these are the ones that should give us Mets a break. Like these
Yeah.
are the systems that in theory should pan out
A bit more
correctly.
straightforward.
Now, does that always happen? No.
Yeah.
But we hope for
And
it.
you guys usually be on top of it because, you know,
Thanks.
we usually like, you know, you all said that 2 days ago, so we're just following up. Now, I know this is coming through this afternoon till midnight, and let's talk about schools. You know, I know it's kind of touchy where
Yeah.
are they going to close, open? What do we think about school closures?
Well, you know, I feel like we could get some areas that might be able to see some school closings, but with a lot of the snow wrapping up by midnight, unfortunately, I feel like a lot of students are going to be heading to school tomorrow, which I know isn't great news for the students themselves, but hey, we've had a ton of snow days, delays this winter already.
Yeah.
So I think that that's probably some great news for teachers out there, at very least, maybe parents that want to send their kids off to school.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit of that lake effect could contribute to a couple of
And you
closings,
don't-
I think,
you
but
don't want to start to have makeup days. So that's
Yeah,
how Deja
exactly.
here, like if you close school too much time for winter, then you
Okay.
start to lose some of your summer days. So you might have to
Gotcha.
go maybe an extra day or two into the summer. Who wants that? You know, we all know that by May and June, y'all want out of school. I don't envy superintendents on days like this because it is going to get messy, it is going to get nasty, and then you got to play the games of like, did they get the side roads cleared out? You know, are the buses going to be okay? Are the sidewalks clear for our walkers?
Yeah.
And that is where, yes, there still will be some questions, and we might end up seeing quite a bit of school closures, but will the snow be done in time? Yeah.
that's going
The
to
snow
be
will be
the
done.
question mark
Okay.
of how fast can they get it really cleaned up.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to be watching, essentially, to say, okay, who's going to school, who isn't. That's difficult to, that's not exactly weather. We can't predict that part, but
Right.
it's really just going to depend on how fast they can get the roads cleaned up and how fast they can treat them.
And of course, we're right here at our 9 o'clock hour for those that are watching right now. What can you tell them if they have to run out and do any type of errands?
Take it slow. I mean, the good news about this system is that it's just snow. You are not contending with the ice. You're not contending with the 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. This is like you slow down, you give yourself time. We shouldn't have the pileups on the expressways that I hope don't happen, but tend to always do, because really you should have a little bit of control over your car as long as you slow down. I know ice, it's like you lose control, right? I mean, there's nothing you can do. That happens. Your car starts to spin out. Strictly system snow, we all can drive in it if we all drive properly. Which at this point in the season, we know how to do, right?
You know what? A lot of people still need a little learning. And we're actually going to talk